What's up, beloved? I'm Tatami. This is my diary. Here we talk about whatever I want to. And today, we're gonna kind of do this thing wherein I have kind of a pet peeve against those moments where I have to explain to my diary where I've been. Like, I just don't like it. I don't like being like, oh, diary, it's just been a crazy year. That's why I haven't talked. And that's why the last post says a year that this isn't at all. I just don't like it. I don't like explaining myself to journals. I don't like the fact that I didn't keep up with what I was supposed to be doing. And so I'm very much known for, starting new journals and diaries every fucking time. Who cares? But obviously, I'm not going to do that with my YouTube channel. So we're just going to pretend I've been here or something, and we're going to just talk about the last couple weeks. Because I think I'll just be proud of myself that I managed to upload pretty frequently for most of the year to my diary. So, where was I? Okay, so another thing I have kind of a pet peeve about is when people who are in power kind of set you up for a test, but they want you to think it's not a test, but it's obviously a test. It's clearly a test. Basically, long story short, I ended up having to do kind of like a white glove test for my landlord recently, wherein basically when I refer to the white glove test, I'm referring to a point in history where essentially black women had to meticulously clean their homes, or else CPS might take their kids, or they might end up losing benefits. So part of that was that if they found anything to do with a man in your home, for example, let's say your brother came over to help watch the kids and he left his tie in the house, they would read that as a man is taking care of you. Therefore, you don't need welfare. Therefore, you are scamming the government. Therefore, you get no more help. And they would also do this thing where they'd put on a white glove, run around into the far reaches, the farthest corners, the highest shelf in the backest part, and run their finger along. And if there was dust, you were, claimed as an unfit guardian. And there were just a lot of reasons for this. It gets into a lot of politics, a lot of racism, a lot of things. But the long story short of it is one of those things is that not only do most black women, a lot of black women, if you look online, compete with each other to be the most clean. An example of this, absolutely, on Facebook, maybe 2 years ago, there was a challenge wherein basically black women were pulling panties down to about knee length to prove they did not have discharge, which, as somebody who became a doula, a womb worker, somebody who studied these things because of misinformation, because we're being bamboozled, blah, 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 and we hate our bodies and we're not quite sure what they should be doing, discharge is normal. And some of these girls were posting pics of their panties, and there was like that crease from when you fold your panties. Like, girl, you didn't even wear these, and you're trying to say you're the cleanest of them all. Those are brand new laundered. You know what I mean? Like, we can get into things that seem very absurd, especially to other communities. They're like, why are you doing this? Why would you ever? What is going on here? But it roots back to a very specific place, time, history. That didn't just happen like one decade. It happened throughout a couple generations. So we have this situation wherein we try to be the most clean of them all because of these glove tests, wherein it doesn't just say what kind of housekeeper you might be. You know, there's the type of person who goes into every nook and cranny every time they clean their house. And then there's the type of person who just cleans up what they've been using for the last few weeks. And, you know, I think both are valid. Both have, you know, their points. Some people don't clean as much. I think it's okay to have a little bit of dust around your house. I'm okay. Bless this mess. That's what I say. If I go into someone's house and they got a mess, I say, bless this mess, ancestors. I do not care. I know some people do judge. At any rate, knowing this history, I became aware of it many years ago. And so I understood that this might happen to me. Maybe not specifically with CPS or the welfare office coming in my house and acting like this, but from other people who are in positions of power. My first time experiencing this, weirdly enough, was not with a home. It was with my daughter, my physical child. Some of you may know, when you have one child here in California, that is considered a blessing, beautiful miracle of humanity. If you have multiple babies in your womb, you are labeled as high risk, as a lot of things. But high risk is the most important. It goes from being the wonderful miracle of childbirth to this is crazy, threat level midnight, everybody code red, to your stations, blah, blah, blah. Like, I had a piece of paper physically, and I probably have it saved somewhere in all of my baby shit, that literally said, like, this is why you're high risk. You managed to have twins, right? Create twins in your womb. Like number 3 was, you are a black woman. And I was like, y'all ain't even gonna address medical racism. You're gonna just pretend it's me and my body. Wow. So anyways, when I birthed the kids, I carried my twins full term. Let's talk about that later. But I had somebody come to my home under the pretense that she was here to just check up, give me some advice. She's just a friendly nurse here to drop by, a little bit older of a white woman, peppered hair. You know what I mean? It's that black and white peppered, short cut. You know, it's at that point where she's a little older, but not that old. That's what I'm going for. So anyways, she came in my home. She started checking a lot of things, which I didn't think was abnormal. But then she checked my daughter's soft spot. If you have had an infant in your care before, you may know that when babies are born, their skull is not attached. It's kind of loose. And that's specifically so the baby can come out of the vaginal canal. There needs to be a little leeway there, right? With the bones and everything for it to come out. And within, I want to say it's like a month after your baby is born, it kind of comes together. But until then, there is a soft spot right up here, which if your baby is dehydrated, will kind of sink in like a little valley, a little like depression in the head. And so you can know if your baby's getting enough or too little, and you'd know if you were able to take them, you needed to take them to the hospital or not. It's one of those modern things we understand. And to be completely frank, in ancient times, people observed this and understood it. So it's not something I was unaware of. Despite how she acted, she definitely did not think I knew this, understood it, nothing. She just took my child and like tried to covertly feel her soft spot. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, these people will really worm themselves into your lives, but they're looking for reasons to take your kids, to hurt you. And up until that point, all of the birth workers I'd worked with were so forthcoming and courageous and just looking to keep, like, a lot of them latched onto me because I was a black woman with a twin pregnancy, and they were like, girl, you know, you're turning us down, but you don't understand. We've been in these hospitals. That's most of the birth workers I was with. I hadn't yet met the type of person who would be like this, who would act like your friend, come into your house, and then be looking for a reason to take your kid away. But I understood in that moment, like, oh, That's what she was doing. She was trying to check my baby to make sure I was a fit mother. This was a test. And I passed it not because I knew there was a test, but because I was feeding my kids. I didn't have favoritism. I was just feeding the twins how I intuitively knew how. Fast forward, I had a different time where somebody said they were just trying to look at appliances for whatever reason. Come into my house. She starts trying to do the finger test, run her finger around things, and I knew shit was up. The second she burst in my house, she was trying to be like, I smell things. Is that marijuana? And I was like, there's no way, girl. My house has been like aired out for days, basically. She's just trying to find an excuse. I knew right when she did it. And she eventually found it. My kids had spilled some juice by a sofa in like the back by the wall, and it dried and had some lint on it. The rest of the floor was spotless, but honey, she found this dried juice. She was like, this is what I mean. This is, and I was like, there we go. That's the white glove test. They'll make a pretense to come into your home to find a reason to evict you. So a few days ago when my husband was like, we were, brought in here by our landlords, but then they put their son in charge. So then the son is like, I need to see the appliances to ensure that things are to get. I was like, my husband called me out to smoke a chop, and I honestly now don't remember where oh no, I think I was already just saying I was suspicious because he was saying he wanted to come in and look at appliances. Where have I heard that before? Anyway, I was like, I have a feeling that he's gonna try and do this shit. My husband's like, no, he said that the other people said they had issues, and then he's gonna come over here and make sure we don't have issues. I'm like, sure, whatever, maybe. Anyway, I basically just deep clean this place. And then he comes over today and he's like going through the house, right? We tell him what the issues are. He still insists on seeing like the whole thing. He's even rubbing his finger on like, okay, when I first got here, this is a hilarious, but not hilarious story, but it was like really dusty, really grimy. It was an Airbnb, but they weren't really cleaning it between people. It was just like collecting dust. The reviews on Airbnb are kind of hilarious. Just like there's being okay with spiders, and then there's this place like there's just a lot of shit going down. So anyways, he's like rubbing his finger on something that's like I've tried to wash a bunch of times, and he's like, look, it's coming off when I rub my finger. I'm like, if this man thinks I'm going to be rubbing my 10 fingers on the wall for this shit instead of just waiting for the magic erasers I got in bulk to because like I've tried to use different washcloths and things, but they don't work on whatever type of stain this is. And so I bought magic erase, and he's like rubbing his finger furiously. This will come off. That was the only thing he could find though, because literally everything else is fine. But he still was kind of trying to play it off like, basically, long story short, it was kind of clear he came in with one sort of viewpoint, which I understand. His parents are like, because they're a lot older and getting a little more forgetful, they don't really want to admit the times that they make mistakes, because it's like, you're already going to be caught up for mistakes. You might as well not just add on mistakes to it so people think you're totally incompetent. But at the same time, it's like, okay, anyways, I'm trying not to talk shit on them because I really like them, and it's not at all their fault that they're losing their memory, that they're hella sick, that they get scammed easily, all of those things that are just piling up on their plate. But they'll sometimes just not tell their son things so that they look better, but it makes me look like I'm like actually deviantly trying to pull one over on them. But it's like, no, I'm being so honest with you. I'm so serious. Your parents really don't remember basic conversations that we have about our rental situation, which, to be honest, when I was like trying to mince my words, like step all the way around that, he kind of broke and was just kind of like, that is exactly the issue I'm running into with my own parents. So I do believe that they will confront you for things that you've already discussed. And then they'll send me things and I'll interpret them some way when in reality, that's not at all anything that's gone on. So he was being really cool about it, except for that, like, he was trying to, like, but afterwards he was just kind of like, okay, so then tell me how. He's like, okay, so my only final question is just have you seen any mouse or rat droppings? And I was like, y'all, I've never actually physically shuddered at the thought of something in my life in the moment until then. When he was like, rat, I was like, and then I was like, ugh, the idea of rats running around my house. But he's like up in his parents' house where they're slight weight hoarders, which I'm not saying derogatorily, because when my husband's mother-in-law passed, who you know I adored, it was a bit of a struggle to clean up her apartment because she also got things and kept them even long after you would logically keep things. Like, I found computers from the 90s and I was like, but girl, what would you have done with these? Why? Why would you keep these computers? What did you think was on them? The point is there was sympathy for me with that situation. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, are you really coming in here with a white glove test, knowing full well there is mouse excrement, rat excrement, like on the floor in the apartment upstairs that your parents use? Like, but you're trying to kind of accuse me. But by that point, he had kind of let go of trying to accuse us. He realized pretty quickly that we were some of the most normal tenants he has here. So he was just kind of like moving past it. But obviously for me, I'm not moving past it because I just cleaned for the last week for somebody who moves a book in his parents' house and finds little pieces of dung. So I was like, like, y'all, and it's kind of a lot because, like, on the one hand, like I said, I'm super sympathetic. I do think that I do think within the next year he's likely going to move them out of this upstairs apartment because they have to walk upstairs. They're like old, older. The wife has like cancer. The husband, his hip is coming out. He has, I forget what the disease is called, but I know it causes like drooling, being hella tired, and it's clearly really affecting him, impacting him. Like, it was just a lot. Like, at one point, okay, last year we gave them our car as payment for rent we were slightly behind on, and because they said they needed it, we didn't offer the car. We offered to sell the car and give them cash, but they said they needed the car. But then it was like, actually, my dad has cars in Washington at his house. So he's like, I'm literally trying to get these people to perhaps move either willingly or perhaps not as willingly to their home that they bought. But this, to be fair, I'm skipping all over the place. But y'all, I found pictures in this apartment because it has things of theirs in here, like furniture, storage, etc. And when I was decluttering it, cleaning it because it was so dusty and cobwebby in here, I found pictures of these two. Like, the quality of the pictures tells me that they took it in the late 70s or 80s. They've been here a long, long time. This is where they built their lives. They built that chicken coop. They put the hot tub in. They built fences, ponds, aquaponics in the back. Their upstairs apartment like has like a loft that they built. Like there's like a twin apartment complex over here that they sold a few years ago. that one doesn't have the amazing amenities that they put over here for themselves up there. So, I understand why these two want to stay, why they feel like this is their space. And even as it slowly starts to kind of get out of their control, what with hoarding, mice, whatever, I totally understand why they're trying to hold on to it. Of course they are. I would. My husband and I haven't even been together as long as they have. We've been together since we were 15 and haven't been long together the same amount of time they have. So I understand. I understand what it is to build with somebody and want to have that thing and not want to let it go, even as it kind of becomes more clear that you can't handle it. But I mean, like, at the same time, it's just a lot. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand him wanting to move his parents. I understand his parents wanting to stay. I understand him wanting to be hardball with everybody at the complex because it's like your parents do have something around here. And if you leave them to their own devices, it seems kind of clear that they're going to lose a lot of it by accident. So I understand him trying to be hardball, but at the same time, I do not like being tested. Don't test me. Don't come in my house pretending you're doing one thing and then I can see you. Like when I was in that other apartment, like where I said the kids spilled something behind the couch, that lady, like I saw her go to the kitchen sink and try and like run her finger under the rim. Like I think she was hoping for mold. I don't know. I can't imagine what she was hoping for because it wasn't there. Her finger came up clean. My point is like it's just a lot. It's a lot to be a renter sometimes. It's a lot to be out here sometimes. So this video isn't very much fun, but it's real, y'all. It's just real. I had to make sure, even if it was like back-breaking work that, and even if it like seemed clean to me prior, that I scrubbed everything I could, any door I could, got whatever clean I could with what cleaning supplies I had, because I just, like, I had a feeling. So anyways, he definitely tried to white glove me and I definitely passed. So at least for now, I'm still in my house and I'm happy for that. But intuition is also telling me it's time to start opening myself up to other living situations. And so as much as I like this place and as much as it's tempting to stick around to see if I can snag their place upstairs and all of the fun amenities they put into it, I think it might be time to move on. I hope not, but I think something saying it. And when something tells me, it's rarely wrong. And that something is usually the ancestors. So, yes. I did want to say, though, real quick before I go, that part of also what I've been doing is I made a quick prayer book for Black folks who are looking to engage in African traditional religion. So, if that's you, I'll make a video of this all for itself. Look at my fingerprints all over this. Oops. Anyways, that's what happens when you oil your skin and then settle into bed to read prayers. Anyways, I'll make a video for this, but I did want to just say that that's also what I've been doing. Sankofa Ancestor Shrine is my other channel here on YouTube where I host kind of like a service, a spiritual service for Black folks who practice African traditional religion. I've also been doing my hair, if you didn't notice. My hair is different. This is my first time ever trying to braid something into my hair. Usually that's something my little sister does. She's really good at that. So I did it for my daughter and then I tried to do it for me and I like it. I like how it turned out. There's a few things I'll do differently next time, but overall, the yarn braids are such a cheap and easy thing to do. I was too scared to burn the ends, y'all. I was like, because a lot of these only came as far as my hair is. I didn't make it much longer. So my hair is waist length. I don't want to have too much weight on my hair, but it does need to be slightly longer on all of them to burn the ends, which I just didn't measure long enough. I didn't realize my hair was as long as it is. All right, so that's just my quick update to get back into making videos. I'll make more videos later. What a boring update, but that's life, isn't it? Rent and eviction and taking care of your kids. That's what the diary is made of. All right, baby. Thank you so much for watching. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads. I will see you next time.